Okay. Get back in the zone, Joe. Get back in the zone. Okay. Oh, hey everyone. This is Joe from ActionX. Welcome back. Or welcome if it's your first time, which would be a pretty weird starting point. Welcome to What's on the Tube. It's been a while since I did this show, since live time. I have not done an episode of What's on the Tube since the last High School Musical review I did. Even though I did promise everyone that I would do a video about the show I'm most thankful for, but things happened during the Thanksgiving break where I just didn't have time to record it. And that sucks, but it wasn't part of the official schedule, so I'm going to hold over on that. Plus, it was going to be a brief series review, so I apologize again if I actually did make anyone kind of excited I was going to talk about that. But that will be done eventually, maybe with George. But anyway, let's get back to it. You're not here for that. You're here because you want to hear my thoughts on the newest episode of High School Musical, the series. And I apologize if I am out of breath. I literally just ran home because it's late. I need to get this review filmed before I go to bed. So I don't really have a lot of time to work with here. And I'm not going to rush the review or anything. I'm just trying to get an early start on this instead of like doing my usual shenanigans when I get back home from a hangout. So, but let's get down to it. Also, the new haircut. Let me know what you guys think. It's still short. It's in the short level, so it's not exactly finished yet. But hopefully it will be at least it's at least presentable to some of you. Anyway, let's get down to the review itself. Well, let's get down. What are my overall thoughts for episode 4 of High School Musical: The Musical, the series? It definitely is a bit of an oddball for me because, like, again, for the last 3 weeks, if you have been watching me since the beginning, I have not been a vocal supporter in terms of either EJ or Ricky. Both those characters are practically stupid and not deserving of Nini, and this in my opinion is just the Nini show with these other characters, and it's still very much oh god, I'm really tired, I'm sorry guys. It just becomes like this week they definitely focus more on the Ricky front, but not in the way like if it's like, oh, Ricky and Nini are bonding, which spoilers, which again I'm spoiling this episode, so please watch the episode before you watch this one. This episode does lean towards Ricky a bit because this was mostly a Ricky-centric episode. Now, last week we got to see Nini figure out at the end of the episode that EJ had her phone, and obviously thankfully it did not go in the direction I was assuming, like, oh, please, Nini. I was kind of half expecting Nini was going to forgive him somehow. There was going to be some corny something that Nini was going to be like, okay, I'll give him one more chance. Thankfully, Nini took the correct approach, where stealing your significant other's phone without telling them for more than I think 2 days, it's really not the best thing to do at all when you're in a relationship. So thankfully, she did the correct thing that I would have done and said, no, this is a betrayal of my trust, and stuff like that. But of course, Ricky does the whole typical blaming the other partner thing, where he does say, like, well, you have been focusing on Ricky, and also I said I loved you too. I said I love you, but you didn't say I love you back, which was a definite like reflection on the beginning of the summer, where she told Ricky that she loved him, but he didn't say it back. So now it's a definite role reversal there. But instead of like having some sort of like moment, it does kind of continue. The musical stuff didn't really take much focus this week. It was definitely like this was mostly a character piece episode, which is understandable. Now, of course, not every episode is going to focus on the musical, even though this is the fucking title of the show. This was morally towards that, and we got to see more of that. We only literally got, like, I think, a scene of the actual musical rehearsal process, which was them blocking out the show, and Ricky on his front was focusing on the return of his mom, and something I was speculating when the show began. I made a brief comment on this, but they didn't really touch upon it since then. Is that my prevailing theory was that Ricky's mom was actually cheating on his dad. I don't know why. I don't know why I was thinking that. Maybe, she's not showing up. She's doing these like extended calls. I honestly thought she was with someone else, but it turns out that was not the case, as this episode revealed that they were the mom and dad were taking some time apart, and they both realized that they were going to have to split ways and they're going to get a divorce. Which obviously, and this episode they connect with me on a bit of a personal note. It's not making me team Ricky or anything. Please do not assume that. But it did make me feel a bit more sympathetic to Ricky, because I am a child of divorce. I dealt through that, and getting to see what he went through wasn't exactly the path I took, but I definitely understand where he's coming from, and he's in denial, obviously, that this is happening. He thought that they were going to like do some counseling, maybe take some more time apart to try and figure out how to make things work, but it's clearly not heading that direction. Meanwhile, back in the musical front, since Ricky's running late to the musical to deal with this scenario, EJ, being his understudy, takes over for the blocking scene, and the relationship aspect is carrying over to their actual, like, even though he's not technically the real performer, he's still not like, it's still not like a pleasant rehearsal scene. They are terribly off key. They are terribly out of sync, and God damn it, I'm so tired that I already forgot. Like, I made some amazing progress last week with the names, and I completely forgot the names, to be honest with you. So, the teacher, God, I forgot her name. I apologize. So, while she's berating the teachers, Ricky shows up, and she gets to another lecture on Ricky being late and how he needs to be committed, and they have a side conversation. Eventually the musical aspect of the episode's over by then, and Ricky decides, and they have a talk. Ricky tells her what's going on, and she's completely understanding of this, and she actually just does send Ricky home to like kind of like cherish the remaining time he has with his family together in that scenario. Meanwhile, the Nini and EJ they kind of split off. EJ is kind of like unsure where things are heading with them. He kind of just wants things to go back to normal. It's not really working out that way. And the rival character, God, I made such amazing progress last week. And I forgot. She's trying to scheme her way into like another scenario where she's trying to be the lead. At first, he's not down with this, and he kind of storms off, like even insulted that she's even trying to pitch another scheme to him after the last one went terribly wrong. Which at this point, EG should really like recognize that she is not a good person, or she's a very selfish person, and he should really stay away from her. Nini's trying to like grasp on this on her own front, eventually contemplate if she and EG should break up, and obviously in my opinion, they really should. I honestly thought this episode was going to lean towards that, which I think by the end they did technically break up. I mean, when you block someone, I think that's an unofficial breakup. I think, in my opinion, I'm not sure. I never been in that scenario, but so anyway, Nini's dealing for that. Nini actually encounters Mrs. Darvis, the Miss Darvis of the show, or the character that's playing Miss Darvis in the show, who's the cousin of EJ. I'm starting to regress on my character naming. I apologize. They have a brief encounter, and Nini's kind of actually insulted even that she knew about the phone stealing, regardless, their current like sort of being buddy, not really friends yet, but they're starting to get warmer to each other. This definitely like set some things back, and eventually Nini had enough of EJ and just blocked him, and EJ kind of drove away defeated. Ricky, in the meanwhile, is trying to like get away, trying to run away from the scenario, trying to stay with his best friend, but he realizes that wasn't correct. He goes into Nini's house, but he comes to Nini's house to talk to her parents, maybe to get some time with them. That kind of leads into like not really an awkward conversation, but more as a an understanding, because like Nini's obviously going through some stuff, especially since there's still some unresolved things with Ricky. But the EJ stuff was definitely taking priority with this episode, especially. So, at least on her front, she doesn't want to deal with Ricky. But the more but once she figures out what Ricky's going through, this is obviously more worse than what she's going through. So, for the brief moment, Nini actually had to put aside her personal current dilemma with Ricky and kind of like understand that, okay, he's going through this. I'm gonna put aside that. And they honestly, I think they had their first honest one-on-one interaction without the whole relationship drama or former relationship drama at play, and mostly focusing on him. And for a moment, since like technically Nini is broken up with EJ, I think, at least in my opinion, I think it is, considering the fact that she has blocked him. I think that was, at least for her, the cutting off point for now. They almost shared a kiss. And before we get to that, the way that they set up Ricky's like emotional breakdown, which wasn't really a breakdown, he didn't break down crying or anything, but he was emotionally freeing himself when he said that, hey, you're the only one I feel comfortable talking to. And that actually is, I think, honestly, the first real sign that Ricky's actually showing some general feeling. Because like Ricky's a character that is like a typical high school teenager where he's hiding his feelings, he's being this cocky asshole, which I don't like, I don't respect. I mean, there are teenagers out there that are way more respectful to him at this day and age. Hopefully, I'm not sure. And he's not doing at least what I would have done and being honest with himself. But this was definitely the first scene I have seen in the whole show where he is being honest. He is like grasping with his emotions and realizing that Nini is the only one that he can really be himself over. And Nini's slowly starting to like, well, she is single. She's still having these like not really unresolved feelings for him. And they do share a near kiss, but that was definitely set aside because like everything going on, you know, it's not the right time. And thankfully so. Again, this episode did not convince me that, you know, Ricky or EJ should be with Nini. I don't think either of them have earned that right yet. Or not the right to, but like they haven't earned that in my opinion. And then we get, but after that, Ricky doesn't stay around. He goes back home and kind of accepts the fact that this divorce is happening. And, you know, stuff like that. And Nini is kind of like in this rut where it's like she has been through a harsh denial of love with Ricky, and then she just received a betrayal of trust with EJ. So right now she's kind of torn where it's like she's already been burned by 2 boys. So it's like, does she continue down her own path, or is what she's asking for to be with someone is too much for her? Which honestly, in my opinion, like definitely Nini needs to take some time for herself and do this musical with the confidence that she can be a single person and figure herself out and not focus on these guys. But sad to say, in my opinion, I do believe that she'll be with Ricky by the end of the show. In my opinion, I hope not. I hope this is something that either side earns by the end of the show, but who really knows? So she actually does sing a new original song, and that was pretty cool. And then we get back to Ricky's side of things, where he has accepted the fact, okay, his parents are getting divorced. He's trying to figure out like how long is his mom staying for, to at least get some final moments with his mom before she does inevitably move back to Chicago full time. And he does hear I don't know what song he was listening to for the original movie. I don't remember. Again, I did promise you guys I would watch the movie in between these episodes. I have not had the time to see them yet. I will before the end of the season is done. But yeah, okay. So, and that kind of ends the episode there, where he's kind of like recognizing this. Oh, also the last thing I do mention, EJ finally gives into the rivals' newest scheme to get into like to the lead role, and apparently it all involves homecoming, which is where we take place as we reach the mid-season point next week. Overall, I really did enjoy this episode. This was definitely a really great character episode. We definitely got to see a new layer to Ricky, which it's the right step for me to at least acknowledge him as not a douche. Because I do connect, I can't connect with that, so I do definitely, I feel for him. Nini's definitely taking the right steps, hopefully, to try and become her own independent person away from these guys. EJ was perfectly summed up in this episode by his cousin. Like EJ is a guy who does stupid, dumb things, but for good intentions. But sad to say, even in this day and age, it doesn't really help that much, because like as long as you're doing the stupid things, you're not really helping out the situation you're in. So it doesn't really help his case that much. So definitely no progress on the EJ front this episode either. The rival has literally just been there. There's no real character development yet with her. She's just a typical rival. I mean, I hope she'll get more screen time as the season progresses, but I don't know. By this point, like I think she's just gonna stick with the rival role for the rest of season 1, hopefully. Not hopefully, but like I'm pretty sure it will be. Overall, yeah, not really much fun on the musical front this week. But definitely loving the direction they're taking with some of the characters, and I can't wait to see how next week's homecoming dance, which is actually pretty funny to think about, because like usually when they introduce the concept of a homecoming dance, it's usually not for at least a few more episodes. But since this is only 10 episodes and they're all half an hour each, they gotta rush this stuff up. Also, I love how another comment I made, I kind of glossed this over in the actual recap. The rival said something along the line, listen, we got 6 more weeks until the musical. We only got 6 more episodes after this. Which actually, it's pretty short, but it does make sense, because like the High School Musical one was definitely like, because they had like 2 different like musicals. They have the fall musical and the spring musical. So this is definitely the fall musical, so I'm pretty sure season 2 is going to be the spring musical, from what I understand. So that'll be pretty interesting to see when season 2 picks up, but that's still a ways away. But overall, 2 thumbs up. Also, if you're commenting, I cut myself while making some pumpkin pie, so that's why I got a boo-boo. Anyway, that's going to do it for me this week. If you're thinking about the overall plan for what's on the tube, or at least the overall schedule, I am finally back tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow. I'll be back this week with like 3 reviews again for 2 weeks, and then we're on break. So the plan is going into December, which is pretty freaking crazy. We're already at the end of the year, and even though on the ActionX front, it's been a very rocky year because of the beginning. Yeah, it's been a rocky year. The rookie will be back. We'll be back on Monday, and Nancy Drew as well. So we'll get those back again. I'm very excited. I will fit in the How I Met Your Mother one at some point this month with George. Hopefully, he is coming over for one last recording session for stuff we need to do. So hopefully, we'll get that done as well. But that'll probably be after the rookie and Nancy Drew go on their mid-season breaks, because they're back for 2 weeks and then they're on break for the rest of the season. Until they come back in January. I haven't checked the mid-season return dates yet. I really should. I will definitely by the end of their mid-season finales. But High School Musical, the series, which you're probably the only thing you're caring about, that will run uninterrupted still, because Disney Plus gives no hell about the holidays. It will be running straight until, I believe, it's the same pace as no, it's more than The Mandalorian. So we're going into early January with this show. So we're going to run uninterrupted throughout the holidays, which it's fair. It's fair. So we'll be running through the show till 2020's beginning. And then after that, we'll get to there. But I'm just letting you guys know that, don't worry, I will still be posting my usual review every single Saturday, even more so when the review ends. And I'll get to more on that when the season's over. But until then, that's going to do it for me, guys. Anywho, I hope you've been enjoying your nap, because this has been What's on the Tube from ActionX. If you want to see more from ActionX, or just specific on What's on the Tube, please click the subscribe button. It'll give you up to date, and ring that bell. Ring a ding a ding. I haven't done that in a while. Like the video if you like to. Share with your friends if they're High School Musical fanatics like you are. Favorite the video if you want to, or just do whatever you want with this video. And I'm going to see you guys next week. So, peace out.